Hey guys, it's Emily, and today I'm going to be doing another round of if you like this book, then you might like this one. So I did a part 1 to this video earlier this year, and if you guys haven't checked it out, I will leave the link in the description box down below as well as up in the cards. But basically, as the title suggests, I'm going to be recommending you books based on other books you might have read and enjoyed. So if you liked Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli, then I think you might like Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender. So both of these books have similar themes and a similar storyline. So in Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, we're following our main character Simon, who gets blackmailed by one of his classmates. Basically, he gets threatened to be outed out as gay unless he helps this guy win over one of Simon's friends. In Felix Ever After, we're following our main character Felix, who is also getting bullied by one of his classmates. We don't know who it is, but this person is exposing Felix pictures before his operation as well as his dead name. So as you can imagine, both of these deal very heavily with bullying, so if this is something that is triggering to you, maybe don't pick these up. But if you liked this storyline in Simon Versus, I think you would really enjoy Felix Ever After. Both characters also reminded me of one another. Not only are they both gay and queer, but they're also trying to figure out who they are. Both Simon and Felix don't necessarily make the best decisions as the story goes on, but you cannot help but root for them despite everything that is going on. Yes, they make mistakes, but it is a part of their journey to figure out who they truly are and their identity. Both of these books also have an amazing cast of side characters, so if you want to see an amazing group of friends, both of these feature that very heavily. If you liked I'll Be the One by Lalali, I actually have 2 recommendations for you based on different aspects that you might have enjoyed in the book. If you liked the K-pop storyline in I'll Be the One, then I think you might like Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Gu. So in I'll Be the One, we're following our main character Sky, who is entering this K-pop competition to become a K-pop star. In Somewhere Only We Know, we're following Lucky, a K-pop star who is going on tour, and one day in Hong Kong, she decides to take the day off and spend it with a guy that she's just met. Little does she know, this guy is actually a paparazzi and he's writing a story on her. Both of these feature K-pop at the core of their story. I'll Be the One is actually the book that made me discover K-pop. There's quite a few mentions of different artists and songs throughout the book, and it's kind of what made me dive into the K-pop genre. So if you guys haven't checked that out, it's absolutely amazing and I would totally recommend it. But in Somewhere Only We Know, it follows someone who's already a star. Both of these are dealing with fame and what it's like gaining an audience. Sky is becoming popular because of the competition that she's in, but Lucky's already a worldwide sensation, and both of these deal with the burden but also the responsibilities that come with being in the public eye. Both of these were some of my favorite books that I've read last year, so if you guys haven't checked either of these out, I would totally recommend them. Also, both of them are by Asian authors, so we love that. If what you liked in I'll Be the One is the fat representation, then I would recommend you check out There's Something About Sweetie by Sandhya Menon. In I'll Be the One, Sky is a fat girl, and so there's a lot of stigma around her weight and her body that is discussed throughout the book. In There's Something About Sweetie, we're following 2 main characters. We have Ashish, who just got his heart broken, and so he asks his parents to set him up on a date the Indian way. So Ashish's parents have picked Sweetie. However, Sweetie's mom thinks that Sweetie's not good enough for Ashish because she is fat. And so in both of these books, there's a lot of discussions about body image, but we also have 2 main characters who are unapologetically themselves. Both of these girls absolutely love the fact that they are fat. They don't see this as a flaw. They see it as a part of who they are. We have 2 fierce girls who just go after what they want and just prove the world that you can do it. Like, that you can be who you want to be, and your weight and your body doesn't define who you are. There's also 2 overbearing moms in these stories. In I'll Be the One and There's Something About Sweetie, the moms see the fact that their daughters are fat as a flaw. They see it as a sign that they have failed as parents. Both of these feature Asian representation, though we have different representation. In I'll Be the One, it's Korean American, and in There's Something About Sweetie, we have Indian American. I think the culture plays a part in both of these books as to why the mothers see the fact that their daughters are fat as a failure. So obviously both of these have very strenuous relationship with their parents. So if that's something that you want to read about, both of these have that at the forefront. It can be hard to read about. Personally, as someone who has struggled with body image quite a bit in her past and whose mom plays a big part in the body image issues that I have, it was hard to read both of these, especially the mother-daughter relationship, because I could relate to it on such a level. But if that's something that you enjoyed in I'll Be the One, then I think you should check out There's Something About Sweetie. So if you liked There's Something About Sweetie by Sandhya Menon, then I think you should check out Fake It Till You Break It by Jen P. and Guyan. So on the topic of overbearing parents, Fake It Till You Break It feature our 2 main characters Mia and Jake, and their parents have been wanting them to be together for the longest longest time. They've been pushing their kids to get together, but the thing is, Jake and Mia don't like each other that way. They are childhood friends who can barely tolerate one another. So one day they decide to fake being in a relationship so that they can break up in front of their parents and prove to them once and for all that they are not meant to be together. So if you like the fact that in There's Something About Sweetie, Sweetie's trying to prove something to her parents. She's trying to prove that she's good enough and that she can be with whoever she wants to be because she deserves it. If you like that aspect of There's Something About Sweetie, then I think you will really enjoy Fake It Till You Break It, because there's the same trope where the main characters are trying to prove something to their parents and they're willing to go to kind of not extremes, but they're trying to go very far to prove that point. In both cases, it kind of goes wrong. There's also Asian rep in both of these books. As I've mentioned before, in There's Something About Sweetie, it features Indian American main characters, but in Fake It Till You Break It, Mia is Vietnamese American, if I remember correctly. Both of these are amazing, but this one deserves more hype. Honestly, I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, but it was one of my favorite books of 2019. I cannot believe that people are not talking about it more because it was so good. I read it pretty much in one sitting, and I would totally recommend both of these if you guys are looking for a new YA contemporary to check out. Now let's talk about mystery thrillers. If you liked And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, then I think you should check out One by One by Ruth Ware. So I wasn't the biggest fan of And Then There Were None, but I absolutely loved One by One. Basically, the concepts are quite similar. It is a closed circle, like a close proximity mystery thriller where people get murdered one by one. So in And Then There Were None, people get taken to an island and people start dying and we don't know why. Basically, people get killed off and we're trying to figure out who the killer is. We have a similar situation in One by One. We are following a group of people who are on a work retreat in the Alps, and after an avalanche occurs, people start dying one by one and we don't know who the killer is, and once again we're trying to figure out who it is. Both of these books had me on the edge of my seat. In both cases, I had no idea who had done it until it was revealed. One of the reasons why I struggled with And Then There Were None is because we're following a group of unlikable main characters. It's kind of the same thing in And Then There Were None, but for some reason I connected to them a little bit more. But if you like the idea of killing off a bunch of unlikable main characters, both of these have that at the forefront. Also, if you like books that take place in a secluded location, this is a case in both of them. We have an island on one hand, and on the other hand we have a cabin in the mountains. I think if you're looking for great mystery thrillers, both of these are great picks, and if you've read Agatha Christie's book, then I think you should check out this one by Ruth Ware. Let's talk about other great winter reads. So if you liked A Castle in the Clouds by Kristen Gia, then I recommend you check out Winter House by Ben Gutterson. So this is YA, this is middle grade, but both of these add similar themes and they kind of reminded me of one another. It could be due to the fact that I read them at around a similar time. So in A Castle in the Clouds, we're following our main character Sophie, who works in a prestigious hotel. In Winter House, we have our main character Elizabeth, who gets sent off to a prestigious hotel. So if you like the hotel setting, which is personally something that I realized I absolutely love, both of these have that. They're both set around the holiday season at a hotel, and they both give off similar vibes because in both cases there is a mystery at play that we don't really know what it is until the end. In A Castle in the Clouds, I feel like it was a little bit more subtle because our main character Sophie is encountering a lot of like weird guests, but she doesn't know if it's just the fact that like the guests are always kind of weird or if it's the holidays or whatever, but something is afoot in this book and you don't really know what it is until the very end. And in Winter House, you kind of know something is weird from the get-go. There's a little bit of foreshadowing at the beginning of the book when Elizabeth on her way to the hotel meets curious people, but both of these had like an eerie vibe on top of the like weird guests and like the holiday setting in a hotel. I felt kind of the same way about both of these. If I'm being honest, I enjoyed A Castle in the Clouds a little bit more than Winter House, but I have heard people rave about this, and this is a series, so if you want more of this, there's more your way. But both of these are really great during the winter season specifically. I think they would be great at any time, but if you're looking for books to add to your winter radar, like TBR, for next year, then I recommend you check out both of these. Now, if you liked A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, then I recommend you check out A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kimmerer. So both of these are quite popular. I think you probably have already heard of both of these, probably this one more than this one. But when I read A Curse So Dark and Lonely recently, I was reminded a lot of A Court of Thorns and Roses. Basically, both of these are Beauty and the Beast retelling. In this one, Farah kills a wolf in the woods, but as it turns out, the wolf was a fae and he was part of some lord's court. So the lord comes in and is like, hey, you come with me because you killed one of my own, otherwise I will kill your entire family. So Farah goes and she finds out that there's a whole curse. You know the story of Beauty and the Beast, this is what it is. In A Curse So Dark and Lonely, Harper sees a girl being taken away at the beginning of the book and she tries to go defend that girl, but instead she is the one that gets taken away to an entirely new kingdom. Once again, once she gets there, there's a curse afoot and they both have to break the curse basically. But on top of that, I feel like both of these had similar vibes. Like the atmosphere reminded me a lot of one another. Obviously in A Court of Thorns and Roses, there's a lot more magic at play, but there is a little bit of like magical elements sprinkled throughout A Curse of Dark and Lonely. It's just not as big a deal. Like there's magical creatures in this one. This one doesn't really have that. And both of these are some of my favorite YA fantasies. I read this one this year and I'm absolutely in love with it. I am excited to read the rest of the series. I think if you like this one, you would really enjoy this one. They both have like similar characters as well. I feel like even though they're different, there were similarities between all of the characters, and the atmosphere reminded me a lot of one another. And I don't know, if you like this one, I think you would really enjoy this one. Okay, so for the next one, it's going to be a little bit different. If you liked either of these two books, then I think you might enjoy the one that I will recommend. So if you liked The Hating Game and The Honeymooners, then I think you would like Shipped by Angie Ockman. So I'm kind of cheating with this one a bit because this book is literally pitched as The Honeymooners meets The Hating Game. But this is like the best comparison that I could find. This is the best way that I could pitch this book to you guys because it is legit The Honeymooners meets The Hating Game. So we have our main character, Anne-Lee, who's up for a promotion. And in order to do that, she has to go on this cruise to the Galapagos because she works for a travel agency. But her work arch nemesis is also up for the same promotion, so they're both going to be going on this trip and things happen. That's all that I'll say. Both of these books reminded me so much of this one because both of these are funny, lighthearted, and they are like enemies to lovers, and this is exactly what this one is. If you guys have seen the episode of Books Around the World in which I read travel romances, you'll know that I absolutely love this one. It's probably my favorite romance that I've read so far this year. It was so funny. I read it in like 24 hours, less than that, and it was just incredible. I loved it. I couldn't put it down, and I would totally recommend it. Like both of these are some of my all-time favorite romances, and this one is joining them on that list because it was just so incredible. So if you liked Save the Date by Morgan Matson, then I think you might like 10 Truth and a Dare by Ashley Elston. So in Save the Date, we have our main character Charlie, whose entire family is coming home for her sister's wedding. It's their last weekend in their family home. Her parents are selling the house, and so Charlie's looking forward to this weekend where she can see all of her siblings in her family home one last time. What could go wrong, right? Well, just about everything. Everything about the wedding is not going the way that things were planned, and so Charlie is trying to save the day. So in 10 Truth and a Dare, we have our main character Olivia, who gets told that she's missing a half credit in PE in order to graduate. So if she doesn't get that missing credit, she will not be able to graduate on time. It's the last week before graduation, and so Olivia is a little bit desperate, so she is able to join a golf tournament and help out there, and the coach tells her that if she helps out throughout the week, then she will be getting her missing PE credit. The thing is, it's senior week, and so there's a lot of parties happening throughout the week, and Olivia's parents are out of town, so Olivia's mom has installed an app on her phone that she can use to track her. So Olivia is a little bit freaking out because if her mom is able to see that she's not going to those parties, she will ask questions, and she doesn't want anyone in her family to know because Olivia is kind of like a perfect student. She has plans, she knows where she's going, and she is very driven. She always has like A's and everything. She has like a 4.0 average and all that stuff. So she really doesn't want her parents to, or her entire family, to know what's going on. Basically what happens is that she asks the helps of her cousins to cover for her and go to those parties with her phone so that her mom doesn't know that she's not going to those parties. So in both of these books, family is at the forefront. There's a lot of family dynamics at play. Olivia's family is quite big. She has a lot of cousins, and they all live like very close to one another. And in Save the Date, they are a big family. Like Charlie has a lot of siblings, and so a lot of family dynamics at play. And if that's something that you enjoy in books, like you like seeing the relationship between siblings and cousins and all that stuff, both of these have that at the forefront. And I think you would really enjoy 10 Truth and a Dare if that's something that you liked in Save the Date. Also, I think it's rare that I read a YA contemporary that doesn't have romance at the forefront. And in both of those books, yes, there's a side of romance, but it's not the main focus of the book. In both of these, the focus is on the main character's growth and on their development. So in Save the Date, we have Charlie, who's trying to cope with the fact that she's going off to college and she doesn't really know what she wants to do. She doesn't really know what's next for her, and she's kind of afraid to leave her family home. And this is one of the reasons why she wants the weekend to be perfect, because she wants to have one last amazing, like perfect memory of her family before she leaves off to college. And in 10 Truth and a Dare, Olivia has to learn that things don't always go as planned, and she has to learn that there's more to life than just going to school and getting good grades. So we have characters that have to go quite far in order to get to where they need to be. The story really focuses on their growth and on their development, and that's something that I enjoyed in both of these books. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys like the book recommendations. If you have read any of the books that I've mentioned today, please make sure to let me know in the comments down below what you thought of them. But I guess that's it, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!